Hello designers. Now that you guys have created a lot of artwork using different Adobe apps, you're wondering, how am I going to share this artwork with the world? How am I going to show people the work that I have created using Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign in my Digital Design 1 class? I'm going to show you guys how to create a portfolio using Sway that you guys can share with prospective employers as well as college admissions reps and with the world. So I'm going to show you guys first an example of a portfolio using artwork that I have created as examples for you guys. So here's my portfolio on Sway. And you guys can see first I have my name as a cover slide. I have a short bio explaining to the world who I am, where I come from, why I'm interested in design, as well as a short artist statement explaining why I am showing some of these works and which I feel are the most interesting or best made from my collection. If you are interested in doing so, you can link your resume so that prospective employers can have that information on file for you. And of course, if you are industry certified, it is very important for you to show that off. As you can see here, I pretty much included several of my Adobe certificates for different programs such as Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. Moving right along, what I ended up doing is segmenting my portfolio into different sections for the different apps that I've used for design purposes. So here I just have a section for Adobe Photoshop projects. And these include the self-portrait we made in class, to the radial designs, to some fun work that I did transforming pictures of myself and my husband to make us look old. And what you guys will notice that for all of these, as diverse as all these artworks are, is that they look uniform in their structure, in the layout of the portfolio. So you'll see, for example, all of these images are presented in roughly the same size, all have an accompanying caption, which includes the title of the work, the month and the year it was created, the program I used, and a short sentence explaining why I feel that work is successful. So having that uniformity is going to be key in having your portfolio look professional, and so that you can impress some prospective college reps or employment representatives, whatever the case may be. Okay, so without further ado, I could keep going on with my portfolio, but it's quite lengthy. I'm just going to show you guys how to begin designing your own portfolio using Sway. So what we want to do is we want to go to the Office 365 dashboard, and you guys are going to see all of the apps that you have available for Office 365. I'm going to select Sway. And now that Sway loaded, I have several different options for how to start. I could theoretically start with the template, but I'm very particular about how I want my portfolio to look. So I'm going to select New Blank Sway. Okay, now that Sway loaded, the first thing I want to do is I want to add a title card. Now, these are going to be cards, but I want you to think of it like the same way that you would think of slides in PowerPoint. Same thing, just different name. So the first one is going to be a title card. This one is going to be Elizabeth Abaya, my name, design portfolio. And then I like to include the dates that the designs roughly took place. So these would be from 2019 to say 2020. Okay, you guys are going to edit this for your particular name and the year that you guys are creating your portfolio. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to add the word demo to it so I don't confuse myself with all the other Sway presentations I have in my dashboard. So I'm going to click this plus sign to insert some content. The next thing I want to add is going to be a text card. And this is where I'm going to add my mini bio. So for now, I'm not really going to write the bio. All I want to do is label it. And since this is going to be a heading, I'm going to select emphasize right here, which is basically just going to make it bold. If I have my bio already written out, I could basically just go and copy and paste. But right now, I'm just going to add a short note to myself like write oops, write your bio here. And I'm gonna de-emphasize that. So I'm gonna go back to that later on. Next, I'm gonna go to the plus to insert content again. And this time I'm gonna select another text card. This one's gonna be my artist statement. And I'm gonna emphasize that again to bold that heading. And right below it, that's where I would start basically typing up my artist statement. If you already have it written, you would obviously just copy and paste it in. But for right now, write your statement here. I'm just gonna add a little note to myself. Cool. From here, what I like to do is I like to add a link to my resume if I have that. So I'm going to go to where it says add to plus always to add more content. And I'm going to go to media and I'm going to select upload to add my resume should I choose to do so. But for right now, I'm not going to really do that. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a text card as a reminder to self, like upload or link your resume here. And you might be wondering, how do I link it? Well, I could basically type the word resume, highlight it, then over here in my options, I can go to link, and it's gonna let me submit a link to the resume that I have saved in my OneDrive. So a few different ways you guys can do that. I'm just gonna go and leave that as is, as a note to self, so I can go back to it later on. Cool, almost there. Now I click on the plus sign and I'm gonna select add image. And this is where I'm going to start adding my certificates as well as the actual artwork that I wanna show off in my portfolio. So over here where it says drag an image here, this is where I would drag a copy of my certificate. So next to the caption space, I'm just gonna write a note to self for when I'm ready to go and upload that. So drag your industry certificate here. And I'll go back to that later. Cool, I think you guys are getting the point of this. So every time I wanna add content, I go to the plus sign and I select what I wanna add to this. I'm gonna go to image, and now I'm ready to start adding some of the images that I want to include in my portfolio. There's a few posters, there's a few images that I made for the web, etc. The first thing I wanna do is I wanna include the caption space for what's going to be next to each image. So the first thing would be the title of the artwork, followed by the month and year it was created, the program I use. So the next few that I'm going to be adding are going to be Photoshop projects. And next would be a statement explaining what I feel is most successful about the artwork. So I'm just going to write statement for now. To drag that image, all I have to do is basically click here and find okay, that minimized, so I don't want to do that. All right, I'm not going to drag it. Instead, I'm going to go to suggested, my device, where I have several of my artworks saved, and go to the folder they're all saved in. Now I could drag one by one, or I could drag all 4 that I want to include in the portfolio. For right now, I think I'm just going to start with this Blackbird poster. Open, and you guys are going to see that it starts uploading to my Sway. So from here I can now go and edit what it says in the caption space. So title of the artwork would be Blackbird poster. Month I created it, if I'm not mistaken, was January 2020. I use Photoshop CC, and the statement would be something like, I successfully, oops, misspelled something, successfully used typographic hierarchy to blah, 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 blah. I'm not gonna bore you guys with my statement. All right, let's add a few more. Now I have 3 other artworks that I want to include in this portfolio. So I'm just going to click plus to insert content, then image. I could drag the image here, or I could go to suggested, my device, and look for where I have the images saved. So I'm going to add this template I created, this poster, and this vector artwork one by one. And it saves me a little bit of time if I go and just upload them as a group instead of one by one to Sway. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy and paste the same caption information to each of these image cards, and then I'll just edit them. All right, cool. So this one is just called infographic. I'm gonna assume I made it in January. I can change that later. This one is called Logan. And this one is called Gem. Okay, I can change everything else later on. What I wanna focus on right now is how each of these images are gonna look when they're presented in my portfolio. If I go and click on each image card, I'm just gonna minimize this real quick. I can see that there's different sizes that I can choose from when I'm ready to view my portfolio in design mode. This right now sets the emphasis of this card to subtle. So the image is gonna appear very small in my portfolio. I wanna be able to view it a little bit larger. So I like to start out by selecting moderate to each of my images, and moderate is this middle option right here to set the image card. So I'm going to click on each image card one by one and set the emphasis to moderate. Next, I don't want any part of my image to get cut off because it includes a lot of typography and I don't want the words to get cut off, etc. Plus, I spent a lot of time designing this. I don't want any of it to be cut off. So I'm going to go where it says focus points right here in the image card. And I can click the little plus sign, which is going to select entire image is important. So regardless of what device you view this portfolio on, whether it's your phone, your laptop, whatever the case may be, no part of the image will get cut off, as you guys can see here. So this is how you would view it on a mobile device. I don't want it to get cut off at all. So for each of these images, one by one, I'm going to go to where it says focus points. And I'm gonna make sure that little check mark is selected so no part of my image is cut off when I'm ready to preview it. Now this is what I'm gonna continue doing until I have roughly 15 images of my best Adobe artwork. I'm basically gonna keep repeating my steps where I go to the plus sign, I add the image from my computer. Let me see if I have something additional I can add. I'll just add this for now, even though it's not a digital artwork. No big deal. And then I can go in and paste the caption information and change the emphasis of the card to moderate and focus points so that no part of my image is cut off. Very important. If I decide at any point in time, you know what, the artwork is not worthy of my portfolio, I can just click on the trash icon to delete it from my portfolio thus far. So this right now is edit mode, where I go and add all that content to the portfolio itself. What I want to do though is I want to go to design mode, where I'm going to choose a background for my portfolio, where I'm going to choose different fonts that my captions, my bio, all that stuff is going to be featured in, and I can choose a different color scheme if I so want to. So if we go to my example from earlier, you guys will see that in my background I selected this template with a geometric background all through my portfolio. I selected a layout that has you scroll through the portfolio horizontally instead of vertically or as slides. And you guys will see that the fonts are uniform throughout the portfolio. So that's what I'm talking about, the design, how the portfolio looks, not necessarily what it has in it. So I go back to my sway that I was working on, and you'll see storyline is where I add the content. That's the editing mode to this portfolio. But I'm going to click where it says design. And styles. So design, styles. You might have to toggle it on like I did. And the first thing I want to do is I want to select a layout for my portfolio. So am I going to view my portfolio vertically like this, where I have to scroll down to see all the content? Or am I going to select a horizontal layout where, like the example I just demonstrated, I have to basically scroll to the right to see all the new content? Or do I want to see it in the same way that I would a PowerPoint, like slides? Personally, for a portfolio, design portfolio, I like to select either vertical or horizontal, because I noticed that when you select slide mode, some images may get cut off. So for now, I'm just going to leave it vertical. Next, I can select one of these many beautiful templates that Sway has available for you. My suggestion is that you guys use any of them that you're interested in, but the last row of templates. Why? They're not very appropriate for a professional looking design portfolio. I'll show you why. So this is a template. You guys can see it looks very scrapbooky. It looks appropriate if you were designing an invitation to a tea party with all these macaroons and cupcakes and such, but for a professional portfolio, not too good, at least in my opinion. So my suggestion, you steer clear of these last row and you focus on one of the many other templates. I like to go for this particular row of templates because all of these templates include some kind of textured background or some kind of geometric design, as you guys can see here. Okay, so for now, let's say you're happy with the template you selected. You can always change it later on at any point in time. What I want to do is I want to change the fonts, because I can see that this particular template is using a serif font. It looks very much like a Times New Roman style that I don't think is appropriate for something that I would view on the web. So I want to select a different font to go with this portfolio. If I scroll up on top of my selection of templates, I have a button that says Customize. So I'm going to click on Customize. And beneath it, I have different font choices to select from. So I actually was right. It was using Times New Roman. So it has a few different combinations that I can select from. My suggestion is you remember all that we have learned about typography, about how to make a document be appropriate for the web. And that includes using a font that is sans serif so that it doesn't compromise legibility. So I think I'm gonna go with this selection, Choir Sans and Universe, and see how that looks in my portfolio. Yeah, I like it. And you guys are gonna see that everywhere that you included some captions or whatever, it's gonna automatically be changed for you. So that's very convenient. But any of these font choices you can pretty much select from. So I'm gonna leave it as is for the moment. Another thing that I wanna change while I'm here is maybe the color palette. So I can see that the colors that are selected for my text are gonna be blue every time I emphasize some text, and black every time the text is just de-emphasized and not italicized. So if I wanna change that, I can go and select from different color palettes here. So I'm feeling a red, black and white spectrum. And as you can see, having selected that new color palette, it's gonna be changed automatically throughout my portfolio, anywhere that I emphasize the words. All right, this looks good. If I go back to storyline real quick, which is editing mode, let's say I wanna emphasize my name so that appears in red. and then I press play to view my portfolio thus far, I can see this is what I got going for me. So the images may be a little large. I can definitely go and adjust that if needed, but ultimately I think they're presented in a very professional kind of manner. Nothing appears pixelated. Every image has a caption, which is good. This one is cut off, so I definitely need to fix that. And all of the text appears to be uniform, so I'm pretty happy with the design thus far. So from here, I basically go back to edit mode, and in my storyline, this is where I go and edit what the captions actually say so that they're all uniform. If I go to focus points real quick, I see why that image was getting cut off. I forgot to adjust the focus point. So I'm going to select entire image is important so that in future it's not cut off. So this is where I edit the captions. This is where I'm going to go and edit my artist statement, etc. I'm not going to bore you guys with that. What I want to show you before I let you guys work on your own portfolios is how to share the link to this portfolio with anyone, whether you're going to submit this assignment on Canvas or you're going to share this in a link on your resume, or you're going to include it in your college application, whatever the case may be. Very easy. You go right here where this says share this way. And you want to select anyone with a link. This is crucially important that you select anyone with a link. Why? If you select only specific groups of people or organization, whatever the case may be, not everybody will get to see it. I will not be able to see your portfolio if I'm going to grade it. A college recruiter will not be able to see your portfolio, and that kind of defeats the purpose. So I want to select anyone with a link, okay? Then I can go and basically copy that link, and that's the link that I'm going to submit to Canvas, and that is the link that I'm going to put on my resume, etc. Okay? Just to summarize, here's what I want to see in your portfolios. I want to see 15 images minimum of your best artwork in digital design. I want to see that all the images are presented in a uniform fashion. They're all roughly the same size. They all have captions. All the typography settings are uniform. And I want to see that you selected a template that is professional. I want to see that you included your mini bio and your artist statement. And I want to see, of course, that you personalized your portfolio by selecting different color palettes and a font selection that is going to be legible for something you view on the web. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Bye.